Do you have an LMM Duramax that gets a little hot going up hills? It's Multiple Tony here, guys, and today I have a 2008 LMM Duramax, and this thing has 186,000 miles. This guy drives it long distance. He likes to drive it up the Grapevine, and Grapevine's a pretty big hill, Southern California, and it gets a little hot. So I did a little inspection, and I couldn't really find anything major. His fan clutch was kind of failing, not completely. We had a little bit of debris in the radiator. The hoses were original, and the thermostats had never been addressed. So in this video, I'm gonna go ahead and replace the radiator. I'm gonna show you how to replace the radiator. We're gonna replace the radiator hoses, the thermostats, and we're gonna get this thing all running nice and beautiful. Before we get started, hit the like button, hit subscribe button, and hit the bell. You get notified of all my future content, which you definitely don't want to miss. Let's jump right in. So to get started, we're going to go ahead and take off this cover here because I want to spray out the condenser once the radiator is out. So we're going to go ahead and pull this off. This is just going to be some clips here. We're going to go ahead and take that out. And then we're going to take this upper fan shroud out. So you're going to have a bolt here on this side. You're going to have some clips right down there. So maybe two on each side. And we need to disconnect this thickum right here. So we can actually unclip this thickum and just leave it in place. Unbolt the fan or unclip the fan shroud. You're going to have a hose over here. Right there. And we're going to go ahead and disconnect all that. And we're going to get this upper fan shroud out because we need to roll this outer fan shroud piece here forward so we can get the fan clutch out. Once all that's out, we'll work on this radiator. It'll give us more room in there.
First, we need to get the air box out. So we're going to go ahead and take the cover off, get the air filter out, pull the pipe off, and pull the intake tube off. Next up is the fan shroud. We're going to be taking out this charge air pipe right here, and you're going to have a clip on the top, just like right there. And there's also a clip down below. And if you look real close, you can see that the clip is popped out. I did not pop that out. So somebody previous to me had actually taken that pipe off and not put it back right. So we're going to take this bracket off and the tray. There's a clip, there's a bolt, and there's two 10s that go that way. And we're going to go ahead and get this out of the way so we can get this charge air pipe up and out of the vehicle. Bracket, the two bolts that go up in the front, they don't actually have to come out. The bracket has slots. So once that bracket is out, next step is the two clips. Now, the bottom clip, now I took this off wrong because this pipe doesn't really want to come out with just by disconnecting the clips. You can't get it to pull down. But here's how it works. I'm going to try this one-handed. This is how you pop this clip out without, hopefully don't poke anything. So you're going to lift it out like that, and then you're going to slip it up out of its channel. Now, what I ended up doing was I'm taking this clip out of the top, but I actually ended up reconnecting that because we had to take the throttle body off to actually get this pipe out. It was the easiest way to get it off. So you're going to take off the clip on the bottom.
So what I did on this one, because it didn't want to come out, you could disconnect this pipe here. I don't like disconnecting these plastic pipes. So I took the throttle body off. Now this port right here is a stud. And unfortunately, this back here hits on the timing cover there or on the accessory bracket. So what you got to do is you got to just pull this down and unthread this one stud right here. And then you can roll it out, and then this pulls down, twists, and gets out of the way. And now look at how much room we have down there to get to the radiator. All right, so next up, now we got to take out these three bolts. There is one bolt right here, one bolt here, and then one bolt on the other side. We got to take out those three 13s. Then this part right here will lean forward, and then we can get to the fan clutch. We can unbolt the fan clutch, and then the fan clutch and this piece come out as one, and then we have all this room. Get the fan clutch off, you're going to want a kit like this. So this is a pretty universal size, 1 7/8. This works for a 7.3, a 6.0, a 6.4. I mean, this is a diesel fan clutch, pretty much. You can see right there. So we're going to need this piece. And we're going to need an air hammer. So here's the air hammer I prefer. This is the new SunX Tools air hammer. Just came out not that long ago. So you're going to put your piece on there like that. And you're going to go ahead and hook in. This is incredibly difficult one-handed. So you're going to slide that in like that, and then let me set it up. So you're going to put the blade on there, or the wrench on there, and then you're going to take your air hammer, and then you're going to apply force. Now, one of the tricks is you don't want to have the belt off. If you have the belt off, this isn't going to work because there's nothing putting tension on your pulley there. So we're going to go ahead and give this a, there we go, and it just popped loose. And now we can take this fan clutch, and now you'll have to roll this plastic piece back forward. But now you can see we can spin this fan clutch by hand. So now we got to unthread this fan clutch, and this and the fan clutch will come out together. And then you just got to hold up on this and unthread the fan clutch, and now you'll see that the fan clutch and this piece are going to come out together, but oh yeah, with one hand. Look at that. So it's going to come out like this. So this is the piece that bolts to the engine. And here's our fan clutch. We're going to be replacing this, but we got to get the radiator out. I'm going to set that down just like that. All right, so before we take the radiator out, we need to disconnect the hoses. So you're going to come down here, and this hose right here is your lower hose right there. We're going to undo the clip. We're going to pull this hose back. So I'm replacing the hoses. You don't have to. We're going to pull this clip back. We're going to pull the hose back away from the radiator. We need to disconnect these cooler lines here, right there, and right there. And disconnect that hose. Disconnect the upper hose. And then we can go ahead and get this radiator out of here. And we're going to be doing thermostats. And I'm replacing the hoses as well. All right, so once you have disconnected your lower hose down there and disconnected your upper hose there, we have one more hose to disconnect. I forgot about this one. We got to disconnect this one. Then we got to take these lines out. When you got these plastic clips here, or the metal clips, and you want to be real careful because these things like to fly around. If you've never taken these out, there's actually a joke about these getting lost and never finding them again. So I'm not going to try this one-handed, but you really want to hang on to these. The new radiator should have them in them, but you don't ever want to lose these. Plus, it's good to have extra. All right, so part of the radiator goes underneath the intercooler here. So you're going to have a bolt down there, a 13. And same thing on this side. You're going to have two 13s as well. So 4 13s. This is going to kind of be stuck under the radiator. So as you can see what it looks like right here, you kind of pull the radiator out like this and then lift it out. And then this is going to stay. So we're going to go ahead and put this back in place once we get the hoses all swapped out. I'm going to go ahead and get the lower hose changed out, get that all in place. Now, if you're doing your radiator hoses, you're going to have one connection here. You're going to have one connection here. And then you're going to have the connection at the radiator, which is right there. Now, if you're not replacing your hoses, you might want to replace the seal inside there because these type of connections, they have a tendency to leak after you've removed them and put them back together. And then obviously your upper hose over here. All right, so overview of the thermostats is they are in here. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. You got this bracket, this pipe here, and there's an O-ring at the back here. I forgot to order the O-ring, so we're going to try to do it without it. I'm going to try to leave it attached. So you're going to have a coolant hose that is back here that we have to be careful of. Right there, that clamp. Okay, that comes off of the back of this pipe. We don't want to mess with that. So we got to get this end disconnected. And this bracket sits over it. So you got one stud right down here. You got a nut to get off. You got one bolt right here and one bolt over here. Once you get those three off, you can lift this up. You can get to that bolt for this bracket, and you can get to that bolt for this bracket. Now we have to unbolt this thermostat. And here's how we're going to do it. So we got this bracket here, which is attaches to this oil fill. And we got 3 bolts here. We're going to unbolt this bracket and get it out of the way, and then we'll deal with the thermostat housing. You're going to have 1 bolt here in the front. You're going to have 1 small bolt that just bolts it to the housing here. And then these 2 go all the way through the thermostat housing. You're going to go ahead and take those out. Get you a grip mat right here. It holds everything. Oh man, check it out. Go to toolboxwidget.com. Use code nuts and bolts with Tone and get 10% off of grip mats and toolbox widget and all that good stuff. So anyway, so brackets out. All right. And now we got the housing here. So now we got, you also have a coolant temp. Disconnect that so that way you don't break anything. So let's see if it can. So there's that bolt. We're going to have to get an extension for this other one here. Hang on. All right, went ahead and loosen them up. You're going to have 1 bolt here like that. You're going to have 1 more here. And now we should be able to actually, it's been a minute. This is actually a bleeder screw. We don't need to take that out. So we're going to be putting that guy back on there. All right. Well, the hope is that we can lift this up enough to get the thermostats out. We may have to unbolt this and swing this oil fill out of the way. Go ahead and do that. All right, there we go. And now, well, I got to pop this housing loose, but yeah, let me get it popped loose. All right, so we're able to lift this up, but we got to be careful. You got to remember which thermostat goes where. So this is the front one, so I'm going to go ahead and lay them out so how they go. So this one goes like that. And then this back one has a bleed in it, and I'll show you on the computer, but that one has to go that way. So it goes like that. And then this one does not have any bleeds at all, but they're going to go in like that. And so now we'll be able to come in here with a Scotch-Brite pad and get this all cleaned up. And we didn't have to mess with this connection here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get all this cleaned up. You're going to take your new thermostats, and this one goes to the back, and it's going to go in just like this with these 2 vents facing the rear. And then this one doesn't. This one, I just put this one in sideways like that. And you're going to torque this housing to 15 foot-pounds. Don't forget to put your bracket back. And then we're going to go ahead and put the lower hose on. Get your lower hose in place before we slide the radiator in. All right, so you're going to go ahead and get your bracket and your housing torqued to 15 foot-pounds. I like to use this Cenex Tools 3/8 torque wrench, 31080. Really nice torque wrench. It goes from 10 to... what does it go from? 10 to 80 foot-pounds. All right, so once you've done that, now you need to come over here, and you didn't mess with anything on this pipe here. So now you got to come over here and you got to get the bracket bolted down right here, and get this bracket bolted down. And I didn't tell you about disconnecting these 2 big harnesses, but you disconnect these harnesses to get them out of the way. And once we've got that bolted up, then we're going to roll this over, get your fill tube bolted up to there, and then we're going to get started on the hoses. Once you've got your radiator in, okay, you're going to get your four bolts tightened up, okay, right over here like that, all right? And then what you want to do is you want to make sure that all your hoses are routed correctly because they go, in between other hoses. So your tranny cooler lines are going to come up like this, right up here, like that. All right. Now this purple clip I was telling you about. So the new radiator will come with a clip, and if it doesn't, and you had to reuse it, you're going to put the clip back in before you put the cooler line in. As you're pushing the cooler line in, you'll see the clip expand and then click. When you have it in all the way, this black guard here, when you push it on, if it goes on all the way around, then most likely your clip is all the way seated. If your clip's not all the way seated and it's sticking out, then most of the time this black lock right here will not go past the part of the clip that's sticking up. And then you want to make sure that you clip your lower hose. If you're reusing your lower hose, put the clip on first, and then you should hear it click. Use a mirror and go all the way around and make sure that it's seated. You want to make sure that you keep this together so you don't forget which way it goes which. All right. Then you're going to take your fan clutch and you're going to set it down like this, and you're going to unbolt the 413s. You're going to take your new fan clutch. Make sure you don't get a cheap one because you'll regret it. You're going to take your new fan clutch. You're going to set this up here like this. And of course, the fan clutch sits a little lower than the fan. So it's always difficult to do stuff one-handed. But anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to get all the bolts started. Now, you don't want to over-tighten this because this is going into aluminum, your fan clutch, and you don't want to strip these out. So you're going to get all these tight, or get them all in. We're going to kind of snug them up, crisscross, make sure it pulls it in even. And then we're going to take this, we're going to put it back on top of the fan clutch. We're going to set it in the car, and we're going to put the fan clutch back on. A little tip to get your fan clutch started is go ahead and when you set this all in, put your fan clutch on the tip of the water pump. Then run this bolt in most of the way. I've got it in almost all the way finger tight. I don't have the bottom bolts in at all, just the top. All this is holding it in the place that it needs to be because your fan clutch and your plastic bracket are going to be fighting each other. So you've got this in place. Then you can reach around from the inside like this, and you can pull the blades one on each side while you're looking down. So now that I've got the fan clutch started, now I can go ahead and I can run this thing around until it's tight, till it snugs up. Once it snugs up, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to undo this, let this fall back this way. I'm going to put my fan clutch back on, the tool back on there, and I'm going to jam the fan clutch on. Show you that when I get it set up. All right, so once you got your fan clutch as snug as it's going to be, go ahead and pull your plastic back like this. And you're going to take your air hammer. You can see I have it on there. And we're just going to give it like a smash, just a couple smashes, and it'll be tight. And there we go. It slipped off, so anyways, there you go. Now, once you got that done, now go ahead and put your plastic piece back in here, and we're going to bolt this back up, all 3 bolts. All right, so once you got this bolted in and you're all bolted up there, next step is to put this throttle body and charge air pipe back in. You don't have to take this out. I did it. It makes it easier. So now that we decided to take the throttle body out, I went ahead and reconnected it to the throttle body here, the hose, and I put the clip in. And the same thing here. Now, this one didn't have the clip in all the way. So, luckily, this is the cold side, so this side didn't pop off. He's lucky. Didn't lose any boost. So anyway, so we're going to push this down, and then we're going to push this down. And then remember, I told you that because of that right there on the accessory bracket, we can't get the throttle body to just push straight up. So we have to roll it in, pull it down, and then get this stud back in. And all I used was some little 4-inch Knipex Cobra pliers to get it out. And it just looks like that. And it doesn't hurt anything there. It'll be inside the throttle body sleeve or inside the hole. So it'll be good to go. So once you get the throttle body back in, don't forget to connect the connector there. It's right over here. Also, another thing is don't forget your coolant temp connector right there. And then next up, we're going to put this bracket back in right here. Remember, we got this, which is slotted part there. Now, you can take these bolts out to make it easier to get out, but you don't have to. It's a little tricky to get this bracket out with the bolts still in. So maybe you want to take them out, but I'm going to put this in next. So once you've got your fan shroud in, you're going to secure your Fickum here. You're going to go ahead and put your hoses on. Now, I'm a firm believer of reusing these clamps. 95% of the time, I don't have an issue. Sometimes I don't reuse them, like this right here. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this clamp right here leak because somebody put a worm drive clamp on here. So I got the new hose. It's an AC Delco hose. I swapped over the clamps. Got that on there. Thickums on there. Fan shroud is on there. Now here is how I fill a cooling system. Also, don't forget this little hose here. So I changed the hose clamp on here because it was real weak. I could pull it on and off. So I use a airlift. It's right here. So airlift, it's a vacuum refiller. There's lots of different styles, lots of different brands. So you hook this up and you let it suck down to a vacuum. You close the valve. You take this hose off and then you put a different hose on here and then it sucks the coolant up. What it does is it sucks open the thermostats. It pulls the cooling system into a vacuum. You can see all these hoses are flat as can be. And then it backfills everything. So another thing about using this vacuum refiller is if you have this hooked up right and it's sealed properly and you suck this down to a vacuum and then you close this valve right here and then this vacuum needle starts to go like this, starts to bleed off, that means you have a leak somewhere. So that's another good reason about using this. So now I've got this hose hooked up and I'm in some AC Delco coolant here. And now we're going to start to fill this up and these hoses will go round. So there we go. You see it filling up the bottle. And the needle is just going to bounce. Don't worry about where the needle is now. It's just a matter of filling it up. And then right when you're about to be done, this hose will finally expand. But all these other hoses will expand. That one will expand last. Watching this video, I'm sure that replacing thermostats, hoses, a radiator, fan clutch, and one of these LMMs is going to be a piece of cake. And I'm glad you came along for the ride. Thanks for watching the video. I will see you guys next time.